Alright, so today we are going to talk about certain user interface control or user interface rules. So in Pega, whatever we display, doesn't matter what it is, whatever we display onto the browser, that get displayed mostly through portal or harness. Okay. Even the developer studio that we have logged in, this is a portal, right? When you launch on a specific portal, these are one portals, right? So portal rule is the starting point for anyone who is logging in onto the Pega application. We create portals for different type of user, and this is the default workstation for those users, and this is specific to the access group, the kind of people that interact with our application. So for example, in the credit card management system, there might be one portal for reviewer, there might be one portal for accounts team who will, of course, they all will perform different type of work. So we do set up the portals as the starting point for the users to be able to access them. Talked about a little bit how the operator, when the operator logs in, how do they get into a portal. So for example, if I log in using this operator, the operator is attached to an access group. The default access group gets launched when you logged in. Then on that access group, we have different portals that I have access to, or that all the people belonging to this, all the operator belong who actually have this access group as their default access group, they will have access to these portals, right? The default portal is what you see when you log in. You can always switch back. So for example, these are dev studios, and all these portal I have access to user portal and test one. So see, this is the test one, this is the user portal, and these are the studios. So studios are also portals. PX Express means app studio. This is the developer dev studio, the one that I'm currently in. This is the prediction studio that we see here, and this is the admin studio. All right. So this is a portal that we are logging in. So when you launch a portal, under the portal is just a container to create a web page. Okay, but how does the web pages get created? They are created. So we have the portal first. They are created using harness. Okay, so after the web page, sorry, after the portal, you have harness. Now, under the harness, you have sections. You guys are familiar with the section. We have done a few sections UI rule. So this is the standard structure. Portal creates a harness. Harness creates section. Um, Actually, harnesses configure section using a layout called screen layout that we will talk about. So screen layout help us to organize the content in a harness, right? This gives us a screen structure. This is kind of UX. Okay, and then we have section. Under the section you can call another section, you can call containers. Under the through the container you can call another harness, and so on. I mean, you can have nested configuration after that, but this is fixed. The first things you will see portal, and the second after that is harness. So I have launched this portal. There is basically a live UI inspector available when you are admin or when you have developer access. Okay, it's not available to the normal users. So if you click on the footer, it's available in the dev studio or on the portals too. When you have the developer access, when you launch any portal, you can see that. Click on the live UI. So it actually pops up on the right hand side a tree view of all the UI element configured on this. So for example, if I want to see where this start conversation text field is configured, so you click on that field and you will see that it is configured as a text area under a section called py post message, and that section is included in the dynamic layout of another section. Just keep looking upward, called post message, which is again included is another section called post area. And as you click or as you navigate on the section, the same area gets highlighted here. Okay, and then post is again included into post action, then post action is included into py post, that is included into py fit. See, the area grows, right? That is again included into px feed, that is again included into pulse wrapper, and this is unclear, again included into a section called home main, that is the entire screen below the credit card management system header. And this is home main is included into a harness called home. The home harness, when you go there, it actually covers everything except for the navigation on the left side, so everything comes under the home. And that home comes under through other different section, it comes under a portal called user port, sorry, harness called user portal. Now user portal contains the entire content, and the user portal is included into the portal rule. This is included into the portal rule, the portal that we are looking at. Okay, user portal is included in that. So that's how we basically identify. So for example, if I want to modify this discover cosmos, let's say I need to change the control, so I need to know which section it is embedded. Just do a live UI, click on this, and you will see tree move, basically pointing its hierarchy link that is included in welcome banner. You can click on this crosshair to open the section in the dev studio. So in the dev studio, that section will be opened. These are all Pega provided, right? So this is where it is. Similarly, um, to go back there on the control too, you do not necessarily have to open from here. For example, I want to change this, so just click on the gear icon, it will open the containing section. Whatever section contains is just immediate. Okay, this thing, right? Table layout, where is the table, how do we create the table layout is another topic we will talk about, right? The button, click on this and it will open you that section that has the button, right? So this is very interesting and very powerful tool, UI inspector. We will basically now continue to use it, right? So with this understanding of structure, portal, harness and section, let's have a look at that. How is the user portal configured? So you can go to the record explorer just to have a look at all those portals, right? So you will see all the portal rules there in the UI section. So user portal, this is Pega provided, we did not create it, right? By default, it's configured in a different way that I will talk about in uh, subsequent sessions. But in this session, let's just convert it into composite mode, the full editor mode. Okay, right. So you see, this is a user portal. Its role is user. It's a composite, and see the harness that it calls is user portal harness. That's exactly what we saw when we did a live UI, right? At the beginning, this is the portal. This is the harness, basically UI user portal harness. So this portal is calling this harness. So when you launch the portal, automatically portal calls this harness. This harness displays the content. Let's open that harness. Alternatively, you can click here and see the list of harnesses and open a harness from them. Now, this should also be in the new way of configuring where we do not do configuration from the rule, but we have another landing page from where we do the configuration, that is channel and interface. But we'll talk about that. Let's just open this harness and make it and try to read it how things are done there. Okay, so this is the harness rule. See, in the harness rule, these are the individual sections that we have configured through screen layout. If you double click on the screen layout, it will open it up. Screen layout configuration. This gives you the structure of your screen. Okay. So see, the screen layout can be a header and the content. That means you can configure only two sections. in this harness. One section for the header, this header that we see, and one entire section is for the, of course within the section you can have multiple section, but it is just one section, this that you see under the home main. See, this is the main section, right? However, this is actually using header and left and content, so three sections. So this is your main section, okay, content section, this is the header section, and this is the left section, the navigation, okay. So you define how many sections and what structure of the screen you want. You can have header only, you can have header and left, you can have header and right, you can have header left and right, and then header and footer. I mean, whatever suits you, you can, or just content only, only one section, footer only, whatever suits your requirement, whatever structure of the screen that you want to build. Remember, these sections that you specify on the screen layout are going to be controlled by the number of field that you select. So for example, if I select here, three sections we can configure on the harness. However, within those sections, I can have composite section, multiple sections. That's fine. Then see, this is basically the left section. Okay, if you click on the double click, so it will show you which section are we using. So this is portal navigation, another section, right? This is the header section. This is user header section. And then this is the content section in the middle of the screen. Just click on that, user portal content section. All right. So this is the structure. And after that, of course, if you look at this section, the content section, it has a dynamic container, and through the container, we can display multiple sections dynamically. So based on the navigation, whatever you click, the relevant harness gets displayed. So then a container is what we use to display sections at the runtime. So for example, these home, these dashboard spaces, they all are configured as a section harness. So by default, it's loading home. When I click on the dashboard, it actually loads the dashboard harness. Okay, those are harnesses, and that harness has, of course, different sections configured on that. So this dynamic container by default, it's going to display you home. It can basically then render whatever you click on the left hand side. That's what the content will render. Okay, dynamically. Then of course, it also, the dynamic container needs to have okay, so home harness, see, home harness, the default harness, and rest it will take as based on the user action. So that's okay, that's good. We just learned the UI structure, how a Pega UI is built when we launch a portal. Okay, then when you create a case, okay, then to another harness, the create case, the new harness for the case gets created, and Pega provides you a lot of out of the box rule to facilitate and processing of the case. So for example, when I click on the application, now just do a live UI again. So this, just click here. So see, a harness from the user portal, when I clicked on create, a harness got launched called py create. Py create has a lot of out of the box sections, and then the it actually starts rendering the sections that you have configured, right? So you see, basically it starts flow action user type, right? This is basically the flow action. Under that flow action you have user type selection section, and under that section you have drop down. So that's what you see at the runtime. Okay, when you when you actually have taken your action on this, so for example, no C001 and continue, it will open the submit one, right? If you continue from here too, it will go for review. This is another harness. Once you confirm a case, Pega gives you the confirm or harness, okay, that your case has been, okay, sorry, it is assigned to me for approval, so that's what I get. This is the review harness. Now click on the live UI. See, all the contents are is shown when you do not take any action. When you open a case for non-action view, it's a review harness. Review harness is configured to show a case like this, and will be a button to open the case. When you click on the button, you start to basically work on the case. That's perform harness, right? You perform any action in the perform harness. See, so there are different purpose of harnesses created. You will learn them as you grow as a Pega developer. But the main focus that we are going to have here is how do we construct the individual UI. See, this Pega gives it. That's fine. If we want to customize it, look and feel, we can do that. We can just open, for example, from the green. I do not want it to be green. I want it to be something else. So I can just open the a relevant section and change, make whatever change that is needed to basically change the color. Of course, that we are going to learn. So ultimately it's the section that we configure at the lower level. Harnesses and everything are structural only, right? Ultimately configure sections in there. So section is the lowest level of rule as far as configuration of the hierarchy is concerned. Is basically that we configure. We already have created a few sections in our case, but those sections are created using templates, right? And template gives us very little control. For example, in this application, we created the create section is there, right? From the create section, we have create. You can preview a section. How will it look like? This is how it is going to look like. Now I want to change look and feel. I want to change color, background color, this text color. How do we do that? These are all control, right? uh, so for example, if you want to change something related to the customer, so let me preview it again. I want to change this is basically the background for the customer information. Now customer information, this is coming from another section, so I should ideally open that section. And here I have configured individual these are control configured in the section. But how do I specify all those stuff, right? uh, I have some predefined template. I can leverage them to arrange and rearrange the items on the screen, but this is too very limited. If we want to include a table, and if we want to basically do mix of basically arrangement of these controls. For example, in the first line I want to have three columns, and in the second line I want to have two columns. We want more granular control, right? Certain field take less space, certain take a lot. I want to make them so either you break them down into multiple sections and have first line in one section three column template, the second line another section two column, third line four column. That's too much rule configuration, but that's the ideal way of doing it. But this is something that got introduced basically recently, template based. Earlier the developers used to have the full control of section editor. We still have the full control. Pega does not recommend going that way unless it is important, unless you need to do it, because that makes a little bit life of the developer stuff when we try to upgrade the application to one version. For example, Pega 8.7 to let's say Pega 9 whenever it comes. Pega 23 is going to be the next version. So that creates some problems when we have that custom configured basically manually this way. Nevertheless, we are now going to learn that thing, that how to convert section into full section editor, and how do we basically in the same section arrange the element of the screen the way we want it. Okay, so whenever you open a section, you will see full convert to full section editor. Click on this, and this template based section will be converted into full section editor mode. Okay, so under the full section editor mode, you see you have a different view. Those templates and everything's are gone. The right hand side panel of picking up the control, configuring, reconfiguring of control, that is all gone. All you see something called dynamic layout, uh, right, something like this we are going to learn. Those left hand side, right hand side control from where you are picking up the control, they are now available in the control palette here. See, I can still text input, their data captures, the pickers, the actions button and all that, data display section and all that, sorry, text label, all those read only things. Okay, I can still pick that up, right? Okay, but what exactly these layouts are, can be do we really need them, why do we need them? Let's talk about that. So in the section, whatever we display, we need to have basically an structural element, a layout. Without a layout you cannot specify any control. So for example, if I want to create this button and I do not have, let's say, not putting it dynamic layout, I want to put it above that, not possible. You need to have a layout under the section. You need to have layouts. These are structural. Now whatever you see here, so when you, let me create basically very quickly another section in the same one. So I'm going to just save as demo customer and I'll remove all the controls. Actually new from the scratch, let's not save as it. Okay, so I'm creating another section, user interface section. This is empty, let's convert it into full section editor. So see, the default is that there is always a layout. If you try to delete it, right click on this and delete, it doesn't get deleted. See, you need to have one structural element. And if you try to put any control like buttons outside of this window, anywhere drag it, see this is not allowing, but you can drag it into the dynamic layout, right? You can drag it into dynamic layout, but you cannot drag it outside. See, outside of that layout. So you need to have either dynamic layout or some sort of table can be put outside of the dynamic layout, because, and once you have table you can now delete that dynamic layout. You need to have at least one structural element here in the screen, okay, on the section to arrange your stuff. There are several, we will talk about a few. Okay, we'll talk about dynamic layout, layout group, we'll talk about repeating dynamic layout group. We will talk about embedded. Embedded section is when you want to embed another section, just like how we have been doing there. Okay. Similarly, but this is in a different way. Not different way. The list of or selection of embedding section is coming in a different way. Anyway, so let's talk about these layouts. Okay. The very basically common one is dynamic layout. In a section, we create dynamic layout. Dynamic layout is a way to organize the content within the layout. Layout is container kind of thing. Okay, not exactly container, but they provide structure. They provide basically how the placement of the controls that you put within that. Okay, so if you double click on this header, it will open the dynamic layout properties. See, layout format by default is default. Stack means, okay, let me add a few element first. So by default it is default. Default means that it will continue to come one after other. So if I add a button here, good, that's in one row. If I add mm, data capture text input, see, by default it comes one after other. When you save it, you can go to action and preview it. This is coming one after other, one top of other, right? This is okay, but you might want to change it. So layout format is what controls how the elements are going to look at, right? There is one called stack is similar to the dynamic layout, sorry, default one. It actually, stack means one on top of other, right? That's what the stack mean. So this is stacked. Then we have something called inline. Everything will be coming in one line. If the screen basically gets filled, then the things will start coming to another line. So if I select inline, see, all the element, but as soon as you have occupied the entire space, text input text input, they all will come in the same line. But as soon as your screen get exhausted, the next element will come in the next line. So that's basically uh, inline. Okay, then there are, so remember, it's going to be dependent on control size. If I refresh it, if I have only three elements, let me change it to inline. These are all going to be starting from the beginning. Whatever space they need, they will be allocated. It's not equally divided, basically. See, this much space is left. It's not like that all three are allocated equal portion on the screen, right? No. Then we have inline double. That means the screen will be divided in two parts. That's like two column layout or template that we have seen. Okay, this is two column template. So half will be allocated to first, second. Whatever you configure next, that will go into the next line. Right. So this is double. Okay. Then we have similarly we have triple, right? And you we have other as well, that you can select other and press down arrow. You will see all those things, certain things. See, by default labels on the controls are on top. If you want to have label on left, so inline middle, labels left. See, now labels are coming on left. So we define the dynamic layout format. There are a lot of out of the box format. That's what we're looking at right now. Okay. These all are out of, we haven't created one, but we can create our own, that I will basically talk about in the next session. That's one thing about the dynamic layout. The second thing is container form. So this is the placement. Container is used to provide the spacing, content within the content. What is going to be the background, what is going to be the spacing between the control items, how is the boundary of that layout is going to be drawn. These are all configured using container. By default it's none. Default is white background. See, the the content within the layout got included into white background. There are other as well, where you can select error. For example, if you want to display error in that layout, so it's red, right? We create our own containers as well, based on the basically organization's user interface policy, right? This is information. Whenever you want to see information type of information type of information, it's like bluish background. Okay, so if you preview this, this is how that content is going to be. So this is very important aspect, basically, the layout format and layout container format of that layout. Okay, container is applicable to every structure element. Okay, That's one thing. The second that I want to discuss right now is table. When you want to show the information in a tabular way, right? So on the table 2, you double click on this header or on the first icon, it will open the table property. Give it a minute. Right, so in the table 2 we have basically container format. All those containers that you have defined, those will be still available here, right? Style of the table, is it going to be spreadsheet, default, transparent, or any other that is defined? Table format, right? Default is the only other option. Okay, for example, a spreadsheet, it will be coming like as a spreadsheet. See, this is how a spreadsheet looks like, right? So this is another, how do we control basically? So here we have the header. You can add multiple columns here, so just insert column left or right. Right there you configure your header hard coded value, and then you provide basically the property value that you want to show in every row, right? And it has to be list. So either you configured source, you need to configure the source of the content, it has to be list, it's multiple record, right? So we can source from a page list property, or we can source from a report definition we will talk about, and either we can source from a data page. Okay, data page will like get customer list of customer page structure sorry, page list structure data page, not the normal data page, not the single data page. Anyway, we'll configure that later, just to give you a glimpse of the controls that are available. Okay, that's one thing. Now this other stuff that I want you guys to basically learn about is how do we create our own control format, right? For example, I want to create my own layout format, right? Layout format, I want to create my own container format, that I want to basically decide how it will look like, how many columns and things like that I want to have. Well, in Pega we have a rule called skin rule. Okay, so we have something called skin rule. Remember, the look and feel of any web application is controlled by CSS. It's all CSS that decide how the look, how the elements are going to be looked at, right? This is also a web application that you are developing. So this is skin rule is UI way of writing CSS, user interface, better user interface way of writing CSS, but this is actually a CSS only. Every application, when you set up an application, every application has a skin. Pega automatically creates a skin for it, and that skin inherits basically inherits the code from the out of the box skin that Pega provides, for example for Cosmos user. Okay, so how do you open and where do you see the skin? You can open the skin from the application menu, skin, it will open the skin directly. It's by default with the name of your application only, right? This is the skin. If you go to the action and you preview, this is actually going to show you the CSS file only. See, these are all CSS. Okay. So this is where we define, see, layout formats. So if I want to define dynamic layout, I do not have my own format, but these are the format provided by Pega, inherited, right? This is what we saw there. Container format. There are several things. Action area, how will that look? Label, control, how things will look. So you can change those controls, those properties here, and you can preview them at the runtime as well, right? So this is where we open the skin from the application menu. The other option is that you open your application definition, and there too on the main page, definition page, down there you will have under where is that, yeah, under presentation you will have CCMS, that skin rule. You can click and open the same skin rule from there as well. Okay, all right, so this is our basically skin rule. Let's say that I want to create my own layout. Okay, my own layout for the customer. um okay, so I want to have four, let's say four screen divided into four part. I want to have four column. Okay, there isn't anything out of the box right now. So the one thing is that you can probably, this is the dynamic layout. Okay, so these are the dynamic, see, dynamic layouts. My format, all the format that you have either created or saved as or overridden from the original format, and these are inherited from Pega. If you go to inheritance, you will see that this skin is inheriting from Cosmos skin. The Cosmos skin is provided by Pega, so this has defined those default and other format that we saw there. Okay, so if I want to, let's say that I want to use almost everything of the default or inline grid double, oh, quadruple is there. Okay, four is also there. um, if I want to use all of this but with a little change, so either you can open this and from the action you can do a save as, right? So I'm going to save as the triple one. Okay, so save as, or you can override. Now there's a difference. If you save as it, whenever you save as it will have a new name. Okay, and wherever you will configure that new layout, that's where it will be effective. But if you override it, so whatever changes you make, it will be applicable to every rules that is there, because name is same. The same layout Pega might have used its own in its own rule sections, right? So those will also be affected because you change the behavior of the existing rule. So wherever that rule is already used, because this is coming out of the box, Pega has also configured a lot of sections for us that we use. So if we change, if we basically kind of override it, all those sections look and feel are going to be affected. So be very careful about overriding is whenever you need something new, do not want to change the existing one, just do a save as. So I'm going to name it as CCMS layout triple. Okay? This is a new name, submit it. So this will come in your my format. I have created it. Okay, what are the setting that we do here? Well, width, how much is screens width we want to occupy. 100%, we want to take 100% of the available screen. Minimum width, right? How many column per row? 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6, right? Proportional column width, minimum item height, this is the height basically. Okay, that's 32. Vertical alignments, top, bottom, right? When you have more space, is it going to be top, middle, or bottom? Let's select middle. Label setting, the labels that come here. So by default, it's on top. I'm going to put it on left. So in my control, this triple, the labels are going to come at left. Horizontal alignment, right? Horizontal alignment is left. I'm going to keep it in center. Okay. Item spacing, whenever a control you include, what should be the space from the top element? 0 pixel. Right element 8 pixel, bottom element 16 pixel, left element 8 pixel. Maybe I will just do 8 bottom and 8. So it is all. Actually, you can say all, all side 8. That's it. Responsive breakthrough I will talk about. So this is the layout setting. Okay. Responsive breakthrough means that by default, yes, it is going to display you 3 column per row, but when the screen size gets reduced, when do you want to? So at 480 I want to change it into a stack. When the screen size gets reduced to 480 pixel, don't display them into column, but display them into row. Stack layout, use stack layout. Let's save it. Now let's go back to the customer section. I'm going to include one layout. I will delete it later, but at the moment keep it. I'm going to include a dynamic layout on the top, and in this dynamic layout I'm going to apply my own control, CCMS triple. Okay, CCMS triple. So it will come in three format. Uh, so I want to include, title is not there, right? So I want to include CID. I want to include first name. Why it's coming in stack? Triple, right? One second. Inline grid. Yeah, this is fine. I did not save it. I did save it. Okay, we'll see. Inline triple, that's the dynamic layout. I've selected. Container format is none. Okay, let's see. CID first name and last name. I want to take this out. Let's arrange it. CID should go on top. Save it. Okay, it adjusted. See, by default here you saw the layout format was basically the label was coming on top. Now it's using my own. Next, I want to continue using double or maybe quadruple. So I will add one more. I will delete the last one. I will add one more dynamic layout after the first one. Okay, so be careful where you drop, just see where it is getting in the middle, and on the middle I'm going to have all the small element, but first I will have to select the email, dynamic layout, email and phone number, and this I will have the out of the box default inline grid double. And then finally I will have one more dynamic layout, and here I will have quadruple. I will ask the user to provide the DOB. I will ask the user to provide the gender, and I will ask the user to provide the PAN number. Okay, now I can delete the previously included others. Okay, I just did not delete it at the beginning because I wanted to have the uh, controls dragged there. Otherwise I would have to added that. I would have needed to have that. Okay, right. So this is how it is. Now if you preview it, okay, this is still coming as 2. We will fix that. See 3, but when the screen size goes down to 480, see that first name last name converted into a stack. That's called dynamic responsive behavior. So in Pega we write the section and everything once, even if it is going to be used on mobile, tablet, it automatically with these settings automatically shows what we want to show and how we want to show it. Okay, just a second guys. All right. So this did not change inline quadruple Y. Okay, fine. We will investigate that out of the box one. But at the moment, let's just put it into CMS layout triple, our own layout. Okay. All right. So see, gender now is coming at the beginning of that element. Okay. You can have in one layout multiple layout as well. All right. So you can drop a layout within the layout, right? So it's a triple, so there you can add drop up to 3 in layout in the row, and that layout could be divided into, let's say, double. All right, so all the element that you will put, for example, pan, if I, what happened, if I want to put pan number here, I'm just demoing that. Okay, let me just put buttons, two buttons. Okay, so right, so same screen space is used to organize two other elements using a dynamic layout. Remember, you will need to have the dynamic layout if you want to have basically a little bit deviation from what the outer layout has. So outer layout was triple. Now I wanted to use the same space for one element and divide it into two, so I needed to use another layout. Okay, now preview this. See, in the same space we got two buttons there. So these custom things we do from here. Similarly, on the skin we have containers as well. This is the container that we have, for example, information. I'm going to just quickly change it for the customer data. For the input data, I'm going to create a container of ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to save as the information one as data input, CCMS input. Okay, I want to change this background color. So you have tabs there. Okay, in the first one, header, you specify collapsible border. um, when it is collapsed, you could have collapsible expandable as well, right? One particular is basically layout. So if you have that, what should be the border? If it is collapsed, when it is expanded, then what should be the border? When it is collapsed, then what should be the background? You can select those switch type and you can specify this additional style as well. Okay, when it is collapsed, when it is expanded, what should be the background? See, padding, padding, how much padding has to be there, top, bottom, left, right, text or item alignment, display flags. You need to have a little bit knowledge of CSS, of course, if you're writing it. What should be the collapsed icon? We can select from any image, right? That is there. Collapse, for example. So collapsed, right? Collapsed means expand it. So we can choose this simple one. This one is our collapsed icon, and expanded icon is this. We could have this one as expanded icon, right? um, Height, padding, left padding. Then this is about the header. Remember, this is all about this header that we were talking about. uh, in the header you can have border as well. At the moment it's none. We can have solid border, 1 pixel. See, and color is, let's say, blue. Sorry, this is content I updated. Header is here. Anyway, see the content tab. We upgraded the border of the content tab, so it is coming, but header also has that. We'll come back to that, like that. So content is where you specify how the content is going to be look like, right? Solid border, any padding from the border, background, right? Any specify style or mixing, we can say background solid, and the color could be this one. See, the background got changed. Then you have box, the entire box. The border for the box is apply this solid one entire box, right? And then color blue, additional style, padding, border radius. We have radius here, right? If you put it 0, it will be kind of a square. Margin, same margin 8 everywhere, right? So this is a sample layout or container, sorry, container that we created. Now let's use it on the customer. um, I'm going to delete this, not needed. So same format you can leverage everywhere. Container, other, CCMS, input, container. It will change here. It's not reflecting immediately, but it will reflect shortly. Container. Did I save the skin? Save it. Okay, so when you demo it, preview it, see, this is how it is coming. If you run the case now, you have edited the section. You have used the same section customer, that's why it is already displaying there. No, C001. Submit application. See, so this is very good actually from the user interface point of view. All right, so in this basically session we talked about the skin rule, we created layout format, basic ones. Remember, usually organizations have UI specialists to do this, okay, and they tell us what to use, but you should also know layout format and container. Okay, so that's where we are going to stop. We conclude this session. It's a little longer session, but yes, it covered various aspects of UI. Okay, there will be another session, a few more sessions on the user interface as well. Subsequent there, where we will talk about different other structure element like tab layout or basically layout group and things like that. But we will conclude this session here.